I've been seeing and hearing from a lot of newer horse owners and horse folks, and so I thought it would be good to put together a little bit of a list of things that, having been a professional in this industry for over 3 decades, that I wish new horse owners knew or maybe kept in mind as they were beginning their horsemanship journey and their horse experience and so on. First and foremost, one size does not fit all. This applies to training approaches, it applies to feed and diet, it applies to work schedule of your horse, it applies to frequency and length of interaction, it applies to basically anything and everything related to horses. I find out of human convenience, people initially are often presented things such as the 60-minute lesson because that's convenient to the human, or the 30-day training program, whether it's for horse or human or whoever, or there's like kind of standardized packages, the way in which horse learning is presented, and this really creates an illusion. The second aspect is, as much as you are excited to do things and have adventures with your horse and make memories, and whether you're a competitive or a pleasure rider, that's your goals, that learning to understand and recognize horse behavior should be, in my opinion, first, and the foundation that everything is built on. I find that people ride for years in very structured lesson programs, it doesn't matter the discipline, and they don't have a clue about the most basics of horsemanship. They don't have a awareness as to the constant communication the horse is offering. They often have a lack of horse handling skills or awareness in their own communication and what they're doing with their body and their energy and their intention and their mental presence and their emotions, because often lessons are designed about the horse's obedience, the horse's compliance. And so this can lead someone who maybe has tried to do their due diligence and taken lessons before they bought a horse or got involved with horses where they were, had ownership, to where they're thinking they have all this experience, and really it's kind of, in one sense, of no value when you are dealing in the real world with horses, such as when you have to hold your horse for the farrier, when you have to medicate, if you have to medicate your horse. Hopefully it's not too often, but it will come up. If you go to fly spray or bathe your horse, if you go to tack up your horse, if you go to mount your horse, and the whole time your previous experiences have been limited to contained experiences with conditioned response horses, meaning they've learned the pattern of interaction with the human, and so you're thinking the horse is listening without realizing how many other counter behaviors and counter offers these horses can come up with when they're really not okay with things. Next thing is, most horses that are sold as bomb-proof, safe for beginners or novice riders who have maybe come out of lesson programs, maybe came off the dude ranch where they were sort of the babysitter horses, have a lot of issues. And it's not until one person with I'm going to say lack of knowledge, lack of experience, is consistently handling that horse, that you start to unintentionally uncover some massive holes in the horse's education, leaving the new owner feeling insecure and doubtful because they were trusting that this was supposed to be an experienced, reliable, safe horse because of maybe its previous job in life or whatever it was doing, and now they're having all of this resistant, unwanted behaviors. Is it about you? No, you're just unintentionally pulling back the masked over, the kind of pacified workarounds that so many of these horses that have to deal with multiple people in multiple scenarios have sort of, masked to make it work, but not really because the horse has ever been addressed or is okay with any of it. Next, it's going to be a lot of trial and error of experimenting. You can have someone who has the best intentions recommend you a certain feed, certain tack, certain trainer, certain clinician, certain whatever, and it may work great for one person and their horse, but that doesn't mean it's going to work great for you. So take everything with a grain of salt. I always suggest, before you're taking advice, whether it's from a farrier, a vet, a trainer, whoever, that you get to know them and observe them, maybe with other clients or other teaching scenarios or other horse handling scenarios, before you commit to having them handle your horse. Next, don't be afraid if you start to recognize how much you don't know. So as a client once said, you don't know what you don't know. And this unfortunately comes up frequent and often in the sense of just basic horse care, things that come down to like, what are you feeding your horse? Why are you feeding it? Horse nutrition. There's so much processed feed. There's so many options on the market. There's so many gimmicks and sales pitch of what to feed your horse. You look at tack, you can open up any tack magazine. There's a bazillion different types of tack and equipment. Most of it is out there to mask the basic lack of horse education or lack of quality horse education. And when you don't know any better and someone tells you, hey, just go get a stronger bit or just go get this device or that device and your horse will be fine, and you do it, you have no idea how much you may be potentially educating your horse to respond in ways that you don't want him to in the future because of your lack of understanding. Also, give yourself some grace. Give yourself some time to recognize that every time you are going out with your horse, you are teaching him something about you, and it is your opportunity to be learning from the horse, to be practicing your observational skills, to be practicing raising your awareness. And you're going to have a lot of unasked for, we'll say, opinions, where maybe people have really good intentions and they're trying to help you and they're trying to, maybe they foresee something going on with you and your horse that you don't quite see, and so they're interjecting. If it's a safety issue, probably step back and consider what they're telling you. But I will also tell you that as much as we want you to have instruction and education, and it takes a long time to hone and refine quality horse skills, that at the same time, when you get too many unasked for opinions, especially if they're conflicting, it can become really quickly overwhelming and frustrating and demoralizing, and you can start to doubt everything about what you're doing, why you're doing, and then, it can all deteriorate very quickly. So I always suggest, if you're newer to horse ownership and you have the option, make sure you find some sort of mentor, trainer, someone consistent in your life who can support you through your horse learning journey, whose maybe goals and ideals align with yours. And that brings me to the last piece. Whatever your initial interest is in why you got involved with horses, be very aware that 9 out of 10 people, the reason why they started with horses and their interest and their focus is not where they ended up years later. So often the more that you peel back the layers, the more that you become aware and acknowledging and recognizing the horse, the more you start to prioritize creating a partnership that may affect what your initial goals and value system in working with the horse was, and that's okay. So good luck in your journey. Remember, every opportunity is a learning experience. It gives you information. Horses don't just randomly do things. There's a lot of old wives' tales that are told in the horse industry to justify chaotic, defensive, anticipative, fearful, reactive behavior. And you as a novice person, your number one priority is to keep yourself safe. And your number two priority is you are your horse's voice. And so it is up to you to keep your horse safe, whether it's where he's boarded, whether it's what he's fed, whether it's who's handling him, so on and so forth. Enjoy the journey.